Hi everyone. In this video I am going to go over how to complete S3-6, computing various manufacturing overhead rates, and S3-7, which will be a continuation of S3-6. You're going to compute total allocated overhead. Okay, so I'm really hoping that at this point in time you have watched my prior video on how to figure out predetermined overhead rates. Okay? All right, so we're looking at this problem. Here's what it says. Edmonton Pools manufactures swimming pool equipment. Edmonton estimates total manufacturing overhead next year to be $1,400,000. Very important. That is estimated. Edmonton also estimates it will use 50,000 of direct labor hours. Very important. That's an estimate. And incur $1 million of direct labor costs next year. In addition, the machines are expected to be run for 40,000 hours. Compute the predetermined manufacturing overhead rate for next year under the following independent situations. So this particular problem is good because it's going to give you experience with every different allocation type, okay? Allocation base. All right, so number one says, assume that the company uses direct labor hours as its manufacturing overhead allocation base, okay? All right, so your numerator, we're going to go back, and the estimate of manufacturing overhead costs is $1,400,000. So for number one, your numerator is going to be $1,400,000. And that is estimated overhead. Your denominator, in this particular case, they told you use direct labor hours, okay? So direct labor hours, I go back to the problem, was estimated at 50,000 total direct labor hours, so 50,000. Okay, so basic math, you take 1,400,000, you divide it by 50,000, and that gives you $28 per direct labor hour for the predetermined overhead rate. Now remember, this is just an estimate right now, okay? All right, now requirement 2 says to change it. Now they want you to use direct labor costs. I go to the board again. Again, I just going to bring down this numerator. It will be 1,400,000, still the estimated overhead costs. However, now I'm going to divide it by what they said in the problem, 1 million of direct labor costs. And again, I just divide it out, okay? Now this one, initially, you're going to get a decimal, 1.40. Convert it to a percent, move it 2 places to the right, so 140% is your overhead rate. Now next I go to requirement 3. Here's what it says. Assume that the allocation base is machine hours. I look back at the problem. It tells you that they're expected to run for 40 hours. My numerator is still the same. My overhead estimate, and then my estimate for machine hours are 40,000. And again, that's machine hours. Divide that out, and that is $35 per hour. Okay? So that's what you'll do on S3-6. S3-7 is a continuance. So S3-7, here's what it says. Use your answers from S3-6 to determine the total manufacturing overhead allocated to Edmonton's manufacturing jobs in the following independent situations. Okay, so the rate for number 1, you derived, or we derived, was $28. But now they're telling us that the actual direct labor hours are 51,700. So to get our estimate for overhead, we are going to just take, for number 1, we are going to take the 1,700 direct labor hours times the rate, which is $28. Now remember, this is actual. This is our estimate. Multiply it out, we come up to 1,447,600. That's what we're going to allocate for overhead. Now, I'll show you in another video that it's an estimate. So when it actually comes in, the actual cost of overhead, this is going to be different. You're either going to under allocate or you're going to over allocate, and I'll show you how you do that in a different video. Right now we're just coming up with our allocation amount for overhead. Okay, number 2. Here's what it says. Assume that the company actually incurred $1,020,000 of direct labor costs. Okay, that is an actual number, 1,020,000. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the 1,020,000 and we're going to multiply it by our predetermined overhead, 140% equals 1,428,000. So that's our estimate with the allocation base for number 2. Okay? All right, number 3. Here's what it says. Assume that the company actually ran the machine 39,500 hours. So to get our overhead amount, we are going to take 39,500, that is the actual machine hours, times $35 per hour, and we're going to get equals 1,382,500. Okay, so that is our estimate. Our application of overhead is 1,382,500. And then in requirement number 4, it's just going to say the manufacturing overhead during the year is dependent upon 2 factors. The factors are the allocation base used and the actual quantity of the base used. So that's what we're doing here. As a result, a company could either over-allocate or under-allocate manufacturing overhead depending upon the allocation base used and the actual manufacturing overhead amount. So one more time, the manufacturing overhead is just an estimate. In a later video, I'm going to show you what happens when you've either over-allocated or under-allocated. Okay? But this is it for now for these 2 problems. Okay? Practice from the book first, work along with me, and then go right into the lab. Okay? All right. See you soon.